Ulduar is the ultimate healer raid of Wrath of the Lich King. Never have healers been more important, and bringing the right healers is key to avoid hours of wipe. I've been healing Ulduar non-stop during the PTR and have a good understanding of the best healers for the tier. I've compiled my recommended healer comps and my full ranking of the strongest healers. Before we get into the best healers in the phase, we need to understand the two keys to Ulduar influencing raid comps. The first is that people actually take damage now, and there are tons of raid-wide damage mechanics. The second is that hybrids are back, and Resto Druids and Resto Shamans will be expected to dual spec in many guilds. With this in mind, we have to consider what a typical healer comp will look like for 10s and 25s. For 10-man raids, the best setup I found is Holy Paladin with a Disc Priest. This gives you the most possible tank healing, plus you have tons of utility and buffs. However, every 10-man group will want a Shaman of some type, so Resto Shamans are a strong alternative option, and you can really get away with a lot of variation. And for 25-man, I recommend running a 5 healer setup to start with a Holy Paladin, a Disc Priest, a Resto Druid, and a Resto Shaman. Your last slot is either another Holy Paladin or a Holy Priest, or even a second Druid or a Shaman. The beauty of bringing a Resto Druid and a Resto Shaman is that they can both flex to DPS depending on the fight. For example, on Hodir, you can run a Boomkin and an LA Shaman to beat the DPS check on hard mode. Alright, so you know the comps, but who's the strongest and most irreplaceable healer in Phase 2? We'll start in the B tier, since there just aren't any bad healers in Phase 2. Starting in the B tier, we have Holy Priest. Some knowledgeable players consider Holy Priest to be more useful than Disc because of the high amount of AoE in the raid. You'll often see Holy Priest topping the meters with Circle of Healing and Prayer of Healing. And I'd never turn down a Guardian Spirit as a clutch tank save, but I'd rather have a Resto Druid or a Disc Priest for preventative and reliable raid healing. Ultimately, a lot of Holy Priest healing is sort of empty calories that can be cleaned up by other healers. Up next in the B tier, we have Resto Shamans. Resto Shamans have to deal with Resto Druids and Holy Priests trying to take their raid spots, but Shamans are arguably the most balanced healers. They can pump raid and single target heals, plus they have Mana Tide to boost the rest of the healers up, which can't be brought by other Shamans. And if you need an LA, Resto can easily dual spec for less healer intensive fights. Moving into the A tier, we have Resto Druids. There are so many fights and trash packs where Druids will annihilate the healing meters, and unlike a Nax, this healing's actually necessary. Yes, your rotation is pretty much just rejuvenation spam and wild growth on cooldown with occasional nourish cast. But the best Resto Druids will have the fights memorized and will know exactly who to hot before they take damage. And you can easily dual spec swap to Boomkin for fights like Hodir and be the ultimate team player. Be the ultimate team player by liking the video, subscribing, and healing the notification bell. Getting into the S tier, we have Disc Priest. I did over a dozen Ulduar raids on the PTR on my Disc Priest, and I was consistently the highest impact healer. Power Word Shield spam is just so strong for keeping your raid alive. Honestly, I find pre-shielding to be more impactful than pre-hotting. Plus, you've got tons of utility too. Pain suppression is money in the bank on big trash pulls and on hard-hitting bosses. Plus, your Warlocks will love getting Power Infusion to push even higher on the meters. And of course, you have Hymn of Hope and Divine Hymn for clutch raid mana and healing. One extra bonus is that the 4 set of Disc Priest is insane. You get 250 bonus spell power after casting Power Word Shields. Getting into the S+ tier, we have Holy Paladins. Holy Paladins still get to be the kings of healing in Phase 2. They're absolute monsters. The best Holy Paladins were untouchable on the meters no matter how hard I worked. And when your tank is getting smacked on Iron Council, you'll be glad you have a great Holy Paladin on your side. An underrated part of Holy Paladins is their extreme utility with Hand of Salvation, Hand of Protection, Divine Sacrifice, raid buffs, the list goes on and on. I never want to do a 10 or 25 man raid without a Holy Paladin, but no matter which healer you play, you'll definitely want to watch my Valenier guide to secure yourself a Valenier. Check that out next.